A way to understand the Evergrande crisis is to compare it with those in the recent past, draw analogies, and then think if we can learn something from it. This exercise helps us predict the future, which is the name of the game in finance. People, especially investors, want to predict what happens with Evergrande, so that they can place their bets accordingly. If they turn out to be right, then they will make some money. That is how investing works. For example, we have the likes of HSBC, BlackRock, and UBS, holding on to, or even buying more Evergrande bonds. They argue that at the current prices, it is worth the risk, and if Evergrande's future is not as bleak as widely believed, then they stand to make a neat profit on their investment. That is all to say that investors are in the business of predicting the future. And one of the ways to do that is to look at the past. Evergrande is like Lehman. So we have many breathless comparisons of Evergrande and the Lehman Brothers collapse of 2008, where the crux of their prediction is that Evergrande will be unable to repay its debts, or even reach any form of understanding with its creditors. Not just that, it'll stop functioning as a real estate organization, which may lead to many people not getting their houses they paid for, and many people getting unemployed. It may also lead to many vendor businesses, having done the work or supplied the material, not getting their money from the company. Some may go bankrupt, and that may lead to further unemployment. The banks who could not get their money back from Evergrande may in turn be unable to return money to their depositors and lenders. That may lead to a run on the bank and cause it to collapse. If it happens to many banks in China, it may put a massive strain on the country's economy. These are all probable scenarios, and many are not shy of making predictions and putting it out there. Evergrande is not like Lehman. However, there are others out there who are saying, hold on, this is not a Lehman moment at all. One of the key bases for this prediction is that people believe that the Chinese government will step in and save the day, if it comes down to it. One of the important lessons from the 2008 financial crisis, at least for the investor community, is that moral hazard needs to take a back seat to systemic risk. Which is a way of saying that, if needed, governments will print money and give it to lenders, if that helps prevent a bigger disaster. Or that Evergrande is too big to fail. Even the IMF seems to be saying something similar. While the Chinese government has stayed away from making any official statements on the Evergrande crisis of late, there is a general belief that this is not yet the time to take out the big guns. However, there is a lot happening behind the scenes, as is the case in these situations. So we have Evergrande saying that an interest payment due on September 23rd has been resolved via negotiations off the clearinghouse. To be sure, it is not entirely clear what happened here. Did they pay the interest, or did they make some other arrangements? It does point to a lot of work taking place away from prying eyes. Evergrande is like Greece. A corollary to the not Lehman argument is that Evergrande is like Greece. After the financial crisis of 2008, the Greek economy tanked, government debt shot up, and it struggled to make repayments. The situation continued for a while as the Greek government ran twin deficits. Which is to say that since the Greek economy wasn't making enough stuff or generating enough taxes, the government borrowed externally to buy stuff from outside to support its people. Some of the money they borrowed was used to pay earlier debt and interest. Usually that should not be a big problem if the government could have printed its own currency, or the economy was growing, giving it more taxes. Unfortunately, both of these options weren't available to Greece. The situation was finally resolved when the European Central Bank agreed to print more money. Of course, there were many other initiatives taken to resolve the situation by the government, like they spent less money and improved tax collection, which all helped. But the most consequential impact came from EU support. I can see the similarities here with Evergrande. They took on a lot of debt and they are not making enough profits to repay that. To keep it going, they earlier resorted to taking more debt to repay old debt and interest. When the Chinese government decided to put a stop to that, their organization flirted with collapse. And so now, people are of the opinion that Evergrande's troubles will be resolved when the Chinese government intervenes. It's a good thing. From the Chinese government's perspective, if this Evergrande crisis weans its economy away from real estate and towards more productive sectors, it may be a win. You see, China has urbanized rapidly in the recent past. That means, many people shifted to the city, and their income improved. They could afford houses, so more houses were built and sold. Now there are estimates which say that there may be 200 million more people in China who can shift to the city, and there are 60 million vacant homes. One way to look at it is that there are already enough homes for those people, and building a lot more homes may not be such a good idea. Instead of building more homes, maybe build more electric vehicle batteries, or whatever else is demanded by the world. China is good at that. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give a like. Do consider subscribing as it helps out the channel a lot. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.